Hello guys, this is Irene. I just wanted to come to you with the news that is important to me this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. We are moving into our 116th Congress, and this is going to be the most diverse group historically that we've had in Congress to date. We have 100 women holding seats. There are representatives for the LGBTQAI committee, not that we really need them to have any more representation. There are a significant, subjectively, number of Black and Latino seats. I care more about the Black seats, but, you know, they lump them together. The Democrats have taken the House, adding 40 seats to their roster. The Senate still has a Republican majority at 53 seats. Now, we know that the Democrats are basically determined to do everything in their power to simply go against Trump. There's no rhyme, reason, or logic to it. This is moving into the border wall. They're making a huge deal out of $5.7 billion, essentially $6 billion. I know that it sounds like a lot to us, but when our budget is literally in the hundreds of billions, it's not that much money. We're wasting money in a lot of places that could be chopped down to provide for this border wall. And let's keep it clear that there's a lot of human trafficking, drug trafficking, and when we know that the border is so open, people can come over in droves, that leaves us vulnerable to our real enemies, not just illegal immigrants. So we need to be considering this. There are reports that a Canadian man tried to cross the border because it was actually a lot easier for him to fly down there and cross the border into the United States than it was for him to cross at the Canadian border. That's just ridiculous, you guys, especially when we consider most of the Canadian border is forested. We just have to get a rein on it. But the Democrats, of course, they know no ends to their hatred for Trump and their desire to just make him look stupid at every single turn. And so the American people are just becoming pawns in this argument between the Democrats and Trump. Moving on, let's talk about Trump's interest in North Korea. This is actually really fascinating to me, and I'm so for it, and I'll tell you why. Right now, we have a comfortable situation with the European Union, which actually gives us access to every place that the European empire, as I like to call it, has conquered in the world. And so we all agree to play by the same games, and there are certain people we won't let into the cool kids club. The problem with this is that it's not just European countries that are doing things. It's not just European countries' sympathizers and acquiescers that are doing things in the world. The world is a bigger place, and there's a list of people in this big world who are actually doing things, a list of countries, I should say, that we don't associate with because it's passé with us cool kids. The thing is, I'm with Trump building bridges wherever he can. I don't like us all having our eggs in one basket. And honestly, it leaves us open to a situation where we're actually experiencing a bit more ability to be pressured into acquiescing to certain things we may not want to, simply because we've isolated ourselves with this small bubble of people. Obviously, everybody from the UN, European Union, all of our allied countries aren't really feeling this move by Trump. But here's the thing, they don't run our country. And the fact that their anger, irritation, problem with his moves with North Korea could affect our relations with them is problematic. As far as North Korea having weapons, y'all, I don't care. Let me tell you something. Here's the reality of things. We all have weapons. None of us really like each other. We're all in an uncomfortable peace. We all have tanks. We all have biological weapons. We all have nuclear weapons. Anything that we're saying we're not creating is absolute crap. And the idea that us not liking someone and being able to dictate whether or not another country creates these kind of weapons is just stupid. People should have thought about that before they blew up the first atomic bomb. We're past that now. We're on to bigger and better things. We have microwave weapons. We have chemical weapons. We do the most as humanity. And so everybody has the ability and the right to protect their own country. I don't care what North Korea has, okay? What I do care is that when we have somebody that's obviously moving in power, that we create alliances everywhere. We can be like Switzerland. Why can't the U.S. be like that? Like, we get in everybody's beef, and we play too many games with those individuals who want to be exclusive as far as who they do trade with, who they'll deal with, who they're going to be friends with on the global scale. It's literally like high school. And I commend our president for not playing that game. And since we're still the world's superpower, kiss our ass, European Union. Kiss our ass, UN. We're going to do what we like until somebody usurps our authority. So there you go. That is the benefit of being the world's superpower. Let's go ahead and take a look at the fact that top administrations' pay raises have been halted. And the news is trying to play this like, woe are the rich people, you know, they already had, you know, a halt on their pay raises and now they have to go longer without a raise. Frankly, these fools don't need a raise. They get paid too much anyway for doing little to nothing but screwing up our lives. So I'm not really sympathetic to it. You're not going to get any crocodile tears for me. I think it's pretty disgusting the news is even trying to make this something that we care about, because I just don't care. In more interesting news, France, their protests are still going. A forklift was actually used to ram into the government ministry Saturday, and I'm loving it. I'm telling you, can we take a page out of France's book? The French know how to get the government's attention. Now, what I will say is this is, we know that the Yellow Vest protests are very violent. Kind of, sort of, right? So women have gotten together and said, all these men are violent. Us women want to protest too. So they got out there with their little yellow balloons. They did their little peaceful protest. And this is what I'll say we can learn. And this is what I'm always telling people in the Black community too, is that some of us are going to try one route, like the women used balloons. Some of us are going to ram a forklift into the ministry's building. As long as we're on the same page and we all move as a unit, I really don't care. That's something that France seems to understand that we can't. You see, the women didn't say we're not going to protest. They said we'll hold up yellow balloons. And then the men apparently got together and said, we're going to take a forklift and we're going to ram it where it goes. And I will tell those people in the Black community who riot and then tear up our own crap, why don't you leave your community next time you riot? You see, they didn't ram forklifts into their neighbors' homes. They ran a forklift into a government building because that's who they have the problem with. It's just some food for thought. I'm not advocating violence. I'm just saying, if you're going to be violent, can we have some sense with this logic? Like, I can't, you know, with some of the foolery that goes on. Oh no. I dropped my thing. Okay, moving on. So The Intercept has reported that the Senate is in its first administration act is taking up a bill to allow state and local governments to boycott any American companies which are boycotting Israel. 26 states apparently already have laws sanctioning entities that boycott Israel, including punishment of individuals working for these companies. Can you say don't play with the Jews? I mean, really? This is something that we're really doing? This is when you know one group has way too much power. Why is our Senate involved in this? Can we just boycott or not boycott Israel at our whim? There are actually 26 states with laws that punish the employees of companies that are boycotting Israel. This is a thing that we can do in America. We're going to boycott American companies over Israel. We're going to boycott our own crap over Israel. Does this make sense? Am I the only one that thinks this is super bizarre and very anti-American? And this is what I'm talking about right now. Our lawmakers are not about this country. Now, I don't know who's paying their bills, who's got them in their pockets, what's going on with them. I can't say. It's a little bizarre, but I know that these people are not about America. That's what they're not about. And this is just, this is when one group has too much power, where freedom of speech is trampled on and people can actually be punished for working for companies that are boycotting Israel because it's not okay to boycott Israel. I may have to do a whole nother thing on this on my Patreon because I can't. I can't with the stupidity that's surrounding this. It's absolutely insane. So a Washington, D.C. Court of Appeals ruled in favor of President Trump's ban on transsexuals in the military. Some sanity in this world. We do know that this is an overturning of a decision that was made in a DC federal judge's ruling that blocked the policy, saying that it was unconstitutional, as if anybody who wrote the Constitution ever intended for there to be protections for people who invert their penises and chop up the heads of their penises to make them into clits, or chop off their breasts and fashion weird penises out of their clitorises. Like, I'm sure protecting those nutcases who really ought to have some therapy, and which doctors should be criminalized for taking advantage of the mentally ill, because mental illness is a real thing, y'all. I'm sure that our forefathers foresaw that, and that everything that's written in our Constitution has anything to do with this situation. I just need people to stop twisting the Constitution. Like, just don't twist it. I mean, if you just want to give these people rights, you don't need a reason. Just give them rights. But fortunately, this was overturned on appeal. And I'm glad to hear it, because the insanity with trying to cater to these people, I just cannot with it. I can't. It's becoming a little ridiculous. Like, can normality be the rule? Healthy normality? Because we're moving in kind of weird directions that I can't quite sympathize with at this point. I was going to get into TPS. And I was really tempted just to do this on my Patreon, but I want to get into TPS, which is the temporary protective status for Haitians, because I think this is something that as Black people, we really need to get behind. We're doing a whole lot of caping for people who just come in this country illegally. Meanwhile, under the radar, you know, while they're busy protesting for these migrants at the border, what they're not busy making a big deal out of are the Haitians. So there are 50,000 Haitians living in the U.S. after Haiti's earthquake in 2010 that were given temporary protective status. The administration is trying to pull that status. This would also affect some individuals from the Sudan. These are Black people. They are here legally. We need to push back on this. There has been a stay on that ruling, but as of November of last year, the administration is still looking to pull that protected status. So if we want to go caping for somebody, let's cape for the Haitians and the Sudanese. There are also some people from El Salvador and Nicaragua who will be affected by this. I'm not as much worried about them, but I am definitely worried about the tens of thousands of Haitians and Sudanese people who are protected in this country under that. And here's the thing, while we're caping, and we have congressional members going and helping, you know, illegal people who are bringing their children across the border, and we're making a big deal out of these people sitting on the border, there are Black people right here in the United States who are here legally under protected status who are about to be thrown out. And I'm going to need our focus to get on those individuals and get off of those south of the border. Like, our priorities are very screwed up. I'm gonna need a Black woman to, climb the Statue of Liberty and hang a sign for this. Like, she is doing this for them. She couldn't do this for the Haitians and Sudanese that are about to have their protective status ripped. Like, I can't. It's really stupid. Anyway, that's the news I care about. And with that said, I'm out of here, you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.